Nora was a 33-year-old mother of three beautiful daughters, Emma, Grace, and Luna. To her, her daughters were everything. She loved them more than anything in the world. They were her source of happiness and strength. Life had not been easy for Nora, but she always found ways to keep going, for the sake of her children. When Nora was young, she lost her mother. It was a difficult time for her, and it left a big hole in her heart. She had to grow up quickly, taking on responsibilities that most kids never had to. Her father was never around much, so she learned to take care of herself. Even though she was very young, Nora had to be strong, just like her mother had taught her. As Nora grew older, things didn't get easier. When she had her own family, her husband left her when their youngest daughter, Luna, was just a baby. He walked away without saying a word. He didn't call, didn't send money, and forgot about them completely. This left Nora alone, trying to take care of three young children by herself. She had no one to help her, no family support. Nora lived in a small apartment in Willow Creek. It wasn't big or fancy, but it was home. Every month, she struggled to pay the rent. She didn't have much money, she didn't have a fancy job or a college degree. Her life felt very hard, but she never gave up. She was determined to provide for her children and give them a better life, a life that was better than the one she had. Nora worked as a cleaning lady. She didn't work for a company or an agency. Every day, she had to look for homes and offices that needed cleaning. She carried her own cleaning supplies from place to place. She worked long hours, sometimes even working late into the night. Nora didn't mind working hard, but it was exhausting. She would scrub floors, clean bathrooms, take out trash, and do anything else she could to earn money. Some people were kind and paid her well, but others were rude. Some didn't even pay her at all. But no matter how hard it was, Nora never stopped working. She had to keep going. She needed money to buy food for her children, to buy clothes for them, and to pay the rent. Despite the many struggles, Nora always had hope. She dreamed of giving her daughters a better life. She wanted them to be happy, to have things that she never had. She wanted them to have everything she couldn't give them. Every day, she worked harder and harder to make that dream come true. Even when she felt tired, when she was sick, or when she just wanted to cry, Nora kept working. She had no choice. She loved her daughters too much to give up. At night, when her daughters were asleep, Nora would sit and look at them. They were so peaceful, so beautiful. She would touch their small hands, kiss their foreheads, and whisper, "I love you." She knew they were the reason she kept fighting, the reason she never stopped. She wanted to give them everything. She wanted them to grow up with love and happiness. She wanted them to have opportunities that she never had. Nora's life was hard, but she never lost her hope. She had to be strong, not just for herself, but for her daughters. She wanted them to see that no matter how difficult life was, they should always keep going. She showed them that love and hope could carry them through anything. She knew it wasn't easy, but for the sake of her children, she kept pushing forward. Every day was a new challenge, but every day she gave it her best. Every day, she worked a little harder, loved her children a little more, and dreamed of a better future for them. Nora's story was one of struggle, but it was also a story of hope. She believed that one day, things would get better. She didn't know how, but she knew that she would never stop trying. For her daughters, she would always keep going, and that was all that mattered to her. She was not just a mother, she was a fighter. And no matter what happened, she would always fight for her family, for her girls, and for the future she dreamed of for them. Nora was a 33-year-old mother of three young daughters. Their names were Emma, Grace, and Luna. To Nora, her daughters were her whole world. She loved them more than anything, and she would do anything to take care of them. Life had not been easy for Nora, but she always found a way to keep going because of her love for her children. When Nora was just a little girl, her mother passed away. It was a hard time for her, and she had to grow up quickly. Her father wasn't around much, so she had to learn how to take care of herself. Even though she was young, Nora had to be strong and take responsibility for many things in her life. As she grew older, things didn't get easier for Nora, she married and had children, but life became more difficult. When her youngest daughter, Luna, was just a baby, Nora's husband left her. He walked away without saying goodbye. He didn't call, didn't send money, and completely forgot about Nora and their children. This left Nora alone to raise her 3 daughters. Nora didn't have any family to help her. She didn't have a big house or extra money. She lived in a small apartment in a neighborhood called Willow Creek. Every month, Nora struggled to pay the rent. She didn't have a fancy job or a college degree. But despite all these difficulties, Nora never gave up. She was determined to make a better life for her children. She wanted them to be happy, to have things she never had. Nora worked as a cleaning lady. She didn't work for a company or a cleaning agency. Every day, she went from house to house and from office to office, looking for places that needed cleaning. She carried her own cleaning supplies and worked long hours. Sometimes, she worked late into the night. Her job was hard. She cleaned floors, washed bathrooms, took out trash, and did anything else that needed to be done. Some people were kind, and they paid her well. But other people were rude. Some didn't even pay her at all. Even though this made Nora sad, she didn't stop working. She had no choice. She needed to work to buy food for her children, to buy clothes for them, and to pay the rent. Despite everything, Nora always kept going. She wanted to give her daughters a better life. She dreamed of a life where they could have everything she didn't have. She worked as hard as she could to make this dream come true. Even when she was tired, even when she was sick, and even when she felt like crying, Nora never stopped. She loved her daughters too much to give up. Every night, after her daughters went to bed, Nora would look at them as they slept. They looked so peaceful, they were so beautiful. She would gently touch their small hands, kiss their foreheads, and whisper to them, "I love you." Nora knew that everything she did was for them. She wanted them to be happy. She wanted them to have everything. She never had a life full of love and opportunity. Nora's life was hard, but she never lost hope. She knew things would get better someday. She didn't know how, but she kept working. She kept believing that one day, her daughters would have a better life. She wanted to be strong for them, to show them that no matter how hard life was, they should always keep going. She wanted to teach them that love and hope could get them through anything. Nora's life was full of struggles, but it was also full of hope. She never stopped fighting for her daughters. She worked every day, sometimes feeling tired, sometimes feeling sick, but she kept working because she loved her children so much. She believed that no matter how difficult life was, as long as she kept going, things would get better. She wasn't just a mother, she was a fighter, and she would always fight for her family. She would always fight for her daughters, for their happiness, and for their future. The next day, something very surprising happened. Nora's story spread across the internet. Many people read about her struggles. They saw pictures of her daughters and heard about the hard life they had been living. Many kind people decided to help. They sent money to Nora, wanting to make her life a little easier. Nora was amazed and so thankful. She had never expected something like this to happen. It gave her hope. Then one day, Nora got a phone call. A man's deep voice spoke to her on the phone. "I heard your story," he said. "I want to help you." Nora was nervous. She wasn't sure who this man was. She asked, "Who are you?" "You will see soon," he replied, his voice calm and kind. A few days later, a group of people arrived at the hospital where Nora was staying. They brought beautiful flowers for her and warm clothes for her daughters. Nora couldn't believe how kind these people were. They smiled at her and told her that they were there to help. Then, a young man walked into the room. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. He sat beside Nora and said, "You don't know me, but I know you." Nora was confused. She didn't know who he was or why he wanted to help her. "Why do you want to help me?" she asked. The young man smiled and said, "Because I can." Nora felt a wave of emotions. She didn't know what to say. She was grateful, but she was also surprised by this kindness. The young man gently touched her hand and said, "You don't have to say anything. I just want to help." A few days later, Nora received more good news. The young man and his team had paid for all of Nora's hospital bills. Nora didn't have to worry about any medical costs anymore. The weight that had been on her shoulders for so long was finally lifted. But that wasn't all. The young man and his team took Nora and her daughters to a new house. It was big and beautiful, a real home for them. They told Nora, "This is for you. You don't have to pay rent anymore. This is your home." Nora couldn't believe it. She was in shock. "For me?" she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "Yes," they replied. "This is real." Nora fell to her knees, overwhelmed with happiness. She cried, and her daughters cried too. They hugged each other tightly, not believing that their lives were changing so quickly. "We have a home," Nora whispered to her daughters. For the first time in a long while, Nora felt like things were finally going to be okay. As the days passed, the young man asked Nora, "What is your biggest dream?" Nora wiped away her tears and said, "I want to open a bakery. I want to make fresh bread and pastries, and I want my daughters to grow up in a better life." The young man smiled and said, "Then let's make it happen." A few months later, Nora opened her very own bakery. It was everything she had dreamed of. The bakery had warm, fresh bread and delicious pastries. People came to her shop every day, happy to enjoy the food she had made. Nora was no longer just a cleaning lady, she was a businesswoman. She had a job that she loved, and she was doing something for herself, not just for her children. She felt proud and strong. Nora's life had changed completely. She no longer had to worry about rent or money. She no longer had to work in jobs that made her feel small. She had found a way to take care of her family and fulfill her dream. She was happy, and her daughters were happy too. They were safe and loved, and they had a bright future ahead of them. Nora would always remember the kind people who had helped her when she was at her lowest. She would never forget the young man who believed in her, who saw her struggle and decided to change her life. He had shown her that there were good people in the world, people who wanted to help, even when they didn't have to. Nora now believed in miracles. She knew that even in the darkest moments, hope and kindness could make a huge difference. Looking back on her journey, Nora felt grateful. She was thankful for every person who had helped her, and she was thankful for the second chance she had been given. She knew her life would never be the same, but she was okay with that. She was stronger than ever before, and her family was whole again. Nora wanted to share her story with others. She wanted to show people that even when life seems impossible, there is always hope. No matter how difficult things get, there is always a chance for a better tomorrow. Nora wanted everyone to know that kindness and love could change the world. And sometimes, a miracle is all it takes to change someone's life forever. Nora's journey is truly a story of hope, resilience, and the power of kindness. She began her life with great hardship, losing her mother at a young age and being left by her husband when her youngest daughter, Luna, was just a baby. With no family to support her, she had to work hard every day to provide for her 3 daughters. Despite the many challenges, Nora never gave up. She worked as a cleaning lady, always striving to give her daughters a better life than she had. Every night, she looked at her daughters as they slept peacefully, dreaming of a better future for them. The turning point in Nora's life came when she suffered a terrible accident. At first, she feared for the safety of her daughters and felt overwhelmed by the financial difficulty she was facing. But then, something miraculous happened. Strangers, moved by her story, stepped in to help. A kind man and his team paid for her hospital bills, gave her a new home, and even helped her fulfill her dream of opening a bakery. Thanks to their kindness, Nora's life was transformed. She went from struggling to survive to living a life of hope and opportunity. She no longer had to worry about her next meal or paying the rent. Instead, she could focus on building a brighter future for herself and her daughters. Nora's story teaches us some important lessons. First, it reminds us that no matter how difficult life may seem, we must never give up. Even when things look impossible, there is always hope. Nora's determination to keep going, no matter the obstacles, helped her reach a better life. Second, it shows us the power of kindness. The strangers who helped Nora didn't have to, but they did. and their actions changed her life forever. Kindness is powerful, and sometimes a small act of kindness can make a huge difference. Lastly, Nora's story teaches us the importance of having dreams and working towards them. Nora dreamed of opening a bakery, and with the help of others, she was able to make that dream come true. As you reflect on Nora's story, think about the challenges in your own life. Are you facing difficult times? Are there dreams you want to achieve? Remember that with hope, kindness, and determination, anything is possible. Never give up, and always believe in the possibility of a better tomorrow. Congratulations for improving your English, listening, and comprehension skills by following Nora's story. We hope this journey has inspired you. Now, to engage with the story, here's a quick quiz. Question: what did Nora dream of doing? A. Opening a bakery. B. Becoming a doctor. Please leave your answer in the comments below by writing either or B, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and lessons that can help you improve your English skills. If you enjoyed this story, consider donating to support the channel so we can continue making content that helps you learn English for free. Every little bit helps us create better material for you. Thank you for your support.